Now, having a beautiful landscape, it's more than just some nice curb appeal, right? It's a source of pride. It's your own private retreat, and it adds some serious value to your home. It's your little slice of nature to just kick back and relax in.
But what if, in that gorgeous, peaceful green space, there's a secret hiding in plain sight? A silent danger that could be slowly undermining the very health and beauty you've worked so hard to create. So, if we want to protect our landscapes, the very first step is to know exactly what we're up against. We've got to identify the invaders that might be lurking just beneath the surface, often right out in the open.
So, what are we actually talking about here? Well, we're talking about invasive plants. These are non-native species that spread with just unbelievable aggression. And here's the real kicker, the secret to their success. In a new place, they don't have any of the natural predators that would normally keep them in check. It's basically like having a superpower that lets them just take over everything.
Now, if you're in the Atlanta area, there's kind of this most wanted list of common offenders you've probably seen everywhere. You've got Kudzu, of course, the classic, but also things like Chinese privet and Japanese honeysuckle. What makes them so sneaky is that some of them, like English ivy or the Bradford pear, were actually planted on purpose because, well, they look nice. That deceptive beauty is a huge part of the danger. Okay, so it's not enough to just know what they are. We really need to understand the damage they do. And believe me, this isn't a passive threat. It is an active, full-on attack on the health of your yard.
First up, and this one is pretty brutal, they smother everything. We're talking about aggressive climbing vines like kudzu and English ivy that will literally crawl all over your trees and shrubs. They block out that essential sunlight your plants need to live, and their sheer weight adds an incredible amount of stress, making branches way more likely to snap in a storm.
And it doesn't stop there. They also steal. Because these plants grow so fast and so thick, they are incredibly thirsty and hungry. They suck up massive amounts of water and nutrients from the soil, basically starving the native trees and flowers that are supposed to be there. And finally, they disrupt the entire local ecosystem. See, native plants are the foundation of the food web for our local wildlife. They provide food and shelter for birds, for bees, for butterflies. When these invasive species barge in and take over, those crucial food sources just vanish, and that throws the entire natural balance of your property way off kilter. Now, I know this all sounds a little doom and gloom, but here's the good news. You can absolutely be the first line of defense here. It's all about learning how to spot your landscape's cry for help by looking for a few really specific clues. So what should you be looking for? Keep an eye out for these red flags. Is there a patch of ground cover that seems to be spreading way too fast? Do you see vines actively climbing up your trees, or your fence, or even the walls of your house? What about dense clusters of shrubs you don't recognize? And maybe the biggest tell of all, are your native plants starting to look weak, or are they disappearing altogether? Catching this stuff early is absolutely critical. Okay, so let's say you've spotted some of those warning signs. Now what? Well, the key is to move from just seeing the problem to having a real, manageable, and effective plan of action. This is definitely not something you want to just start tackling randomly.
When the pros handle this, they use a clear 4-step solution. It all starts with proper identification. You got to know exactly what you're dealing with. Step 2 is removal, using techniques that are both safe and actually work. Then comes the assessment, where you check on the health of the trees and plants that were affected. And finally, and this might be the most important step of all, maintenance. You need an ongoing plan to make sure those invaders don't just come right back.
So, at the end of the day, why does all of this matter so much? Because these invasive plants, they don't just make your yard look a little messy. As the saying goes, they threaten the health, beauty, and long-term value of your property. This is really about protecting a major investment. And that brings us to the final question. It's one that's really worth asking yourself next time you look out the window. After everything we've talked about, is your landscape's future secure?